Gandhi University of Health Sciences in 2015 and DNB Radiation Oncology from NBE Hyderabad in 2016. However, his areas of specialization did not stop here. He has taken specialized training in cyberknife radiosurgery and stereotactic radiosurgery in order to take the cancer treatment to the next level. His areas of specialization include IMRT, IGRT, SRS, SRT, and SBRT. In short, he provides all latest treatments in radiation therapy. We welcome Dr. S. Varun Kumar. Welcome you, sir, to deliver his talk on preventing cancer through change in lifestyle on this virtual platform arranged by College of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Dayanand Sagar University. We welcome you, sir. The portal is yours. You can go ahead with your presentation, sir.
Yes, I will share my screen. Yes, can you see the presentation?
Yes, sir. Presentation is visible, and
Okay.
you can go ahead, sir. Thank you.
Done. So, shall we start?
Yes, sir. You can start.
Yes. So, I was busy. I'm sorry I'm late. So, I'm 12 minutes late, so we'll wind up fast anyways. So, we will take up questions in the last. And I sincerely thank. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir. You're audible. You can go ahead.
Yes. So, I'm sincerely thankful to Dayanand Sagar and the entire pharmacy team. And I sincerely thank Murugan sir for giving me this opportunity. So hope it will be useful for the people who are attending. And I would like to share my slides so you can keep it. So just keep listening to me. And if you have any queries, you can always ask me in the end. Is it okay? So
Yes, fine, sir. Go ahead.
yeah, shall we start?
Please,
Yes.
sir. Go ahead.
So why did I choose this topic is because uh, people are worried about cancer. So cancer is nothing like a chronic disease. I mean to say it is just like diabetes and hypertension. So how you cannot ask an endocrinologist that whether the hypertension and the sugar, I mean the BP and the sugar is usually controlled and it is not cured. Similarly, cancer is also like that, and which are completely curable. And apart from curing, we can always prevent it from getting the cancer. So that's why I chose this topic. So prevention of cancer by lifestyle changes, just our lifestyle, whatever the behavioral changes of one person would prevent him or her from getting cancer. Moving ahead, so what do you think cancer is? So you're all from the medical background, so I need not stress upon this. So you will all know what cancer is. It is nothing but rapid. There will be a certain mutation in a normal cell, which leads to rapid repopulation of those cells, and that leads into a mass, which leads into an ulcer, and that develops into a cancer. So why we will see. So this is what I was telling you. Normal cells usually have a programmed cell division, whereas a cancer cell, that is a mutated cell, which is there in everyone's body. So if it behaves in a different manner other than a normal cell, so that is when these cells get energy from unknown sources and they would rapidly divide. So this leads into a swelling, and this swelling leads into an ulcer, and that over a period of time, I would tell in years, for a mutated cell to develop into a cancer. So it is always better. That's why we tell it is always better to get the screening done so that the cancer detected at an earlier stage is always curable. Note my word, it is curable. And then what are the risk factors that are associated with cancer is there are certain intrinsic risk factors which are non-modifiable, so that we are not worried about. A person having that particular error in DNA replication will definitely get cancer, and we have certain tests to detect those abnormal DNA replication as well today. So we are not worried about those intrinsic risk factors now, which are non-modifiable. We are worried about these non-intrinsic risk factors that are endogenous risk factors and exogenous risk factors. So these endogenous risk factors are partially modifiable, like biological aging, genetic susceptibility, and DNA repair machinery, and hormones, especially when you see breast cancer, which is more common in urban population. So the breast cancers occur because of the hormonal irregularities that occur within one's own body. So I mean to say there will be estrogen, progesterone, and which will be secreted in a woman's body, and that would rapidly increase after the menopause. This rapid increase in this hormonal status is responsible for breast cancer. So that is why we give targeted therapy targeting these receptors. Moving ahead, growth factors. When you see craniopharyngiomas, pituitary adenomas, which will be over secreting the hormone, that is like pituitary gland will secrete FSH, LH, and multiple hormones that will lead into a cancer over a period of time. So that is also partially modifiable. But today's topic, we are more worried about the modifiable risk factors, which is in our voluntary control. So whatever I told before, it was involuntary completely and partially involuntary. But this is in our hands that we can prevent the cancer from avoiding these risk factors. So our topic of interest would be these, and like chemical carcinogens which are responsible for cancer, tumor causing viruses, bad lifestyles such as smoking, lack of exercise, and nutrient imbalance, which can be modified by us, and it is only us who can overcome this, and we can prevent from getting cancer. So how did we identify this modifiable risk factors? So nobody knows what tobacco is, what betel nut is, but how on if a person is having tobacco or betel nut, how did we identify that these persons who are consuming tobacco or alcohol is getting cancer? So that is with decades of research. So we have identified certain risk factors, and that would lead to alterations in genetic and epigenetic information within a person's cells, and that would lead to cancer in a later part of life. So what are these risk factors in the increasing order? When you see, cigarette smoking is responsible for 20% of malignancies. Excess body weight, again in the range of 5 to 10, alcohol 5 to 10, and ultraviolet, poor diet, infection, and physical inactivity accounts for less than 5% of modifiable risk factors that are associated with cancer. Moving ahead, what causes cancer in cigarette smoking? So with this talk, I think all the smokers should quit smoking, at least if not today, maybe over a period of time. And I'm not scaring you. So this is what it is. This is what the literature tells. It is not my own comments. So I have gone through multiple literature reviews, and I have come to a conclusion that these are the molecules that lead to cancer in a person who is consuming tobacco in the form of cigarettes. So the main problem here in cigarette smoke is the nicotine, which is an addictive product. That's why people tend to smoke, and that addiction is because of this nicotine component. And what causes cancer is tar, which gets sedimented within the lung lobules, and the lung lobules will get arrested. That means usually there will be contraction and relaxation of those lobules. That is avoided because of the sedimentation of the tar, and which leads to carbon monoxide accumulation. This carbon monoxide will cause a mucosal erosion, and over a period of time, it develops into lung cancer. So, so you would know only lung cancer and bronchus cancer that are associated with tobacco. No, there are at least 17 cancers that are associated with tobacco consumption, like urogenital malignancy. I mean to say, smoker can have kidney cancer, ureter, bladder cancer, and in females they can have cervical malignancies and uterus malignancies. And in men and women, there will be head and neck malignancies, like the whole of head and neck structures are involved. I mean to say the entire body is getting damaged because of this tobacco consumption, and it also leads to a hematopoietic malignancy called as AML, which is usually seen in chronic smokers who would have smoked for 30-35 years, and over a period of time they would have quit smoking for at least 10 years. So whatever the damage which has happened to their body, that is bone, cells in the body, so this would cause some mutation, and that leads into a blood cancer. So this is a way how I prepare my patients for de-addiction. So there may be 6 classes of people who are in the motto of quitting tobacco. So a person may not be ready to stop, thinking about stopping, preparing to quit and quitting, being a non-smoker, and then they might relapse. So what are the benefits of quitting smoking? People might think, okay, I will quit for another 20-30 days. Then after that, I will actually there will be changes within the body. No, dear friends, the moment you stop smoking, after 20 minutes, the blood pressure and the pulse rate returns to normal. The circulation improves in your hands and feet. That's why smokers usually they complain of pain in the peripheries, fingers, toes, and there will be generalized body. Then after 48 hours, oxygen level in the blood returns to normal and chances of heart attack starts to fall. And 24 hours, poisonous, as I told you, the carbon monoxide which gets eliminated from the body, and after 48 hours, nicotine is no longer, and after 72 hours, you quit for 48 hours, your addiction and craving for smoking will be reduced. Breathing becomes easier and circulation improves. Coughing and shortness of breath and risk of heart attack falls to that of a non-smoker. Risk of lung cancer falls to about half of that of a smoker. So this is what is the improvement with this thing. So you can actually decide upon one's own behavioral changes and their motto, and it is always better to quit. And you can consider these alternative treatments. If you're a chronic smoker, you can consider for a nicotine gum, patch, inhaler, lozenges, and spray. Spray is usually considered for a smoker who smokes about 30 to 40 cigarettes per day. I have a patient who is being succeeded with this particular spray. So e-cigarettes, people think, okay, it is dangerous, so never consume any form of tobacco. So kindly consider this as a request. And over a period of time, with the studies, tobacco control induced death is being increased. So that can be reduced to 50% if the current smoking rates is reduced by it reduces by 20 to 30 million deaths before 2025 and 150 million by 2050. So that is a huge number. So, and we are worried about the person who is standing next to a smoker, that is second-hand smoke, which is even more harmful. So it has 2 streams of smoke, the mainstream smoke and the side stream smoke. So the second-hand smoke, which is usually very harmful, and it is always better to avoid smoking in public places and smoking in a closed environment. And moving on to the next risk factor, as I told you, so overweight. So how does overweight increase the risk of cancer? So one is the hormone concept. Estrogen levels are increased, so that leads to breast cancer. And similarly, in an overweight person, there will be insulin, which will be more in the blood, and the angulation between the esophagus and the stomach will be lost. So that would lead to a reflex, and there is increased risk of gallstones. And again, it is a poor diet which will lead to overweight, and in turn, it will result in increased risk of cancer. So, overweight is responsible for multiple cancers, as you see in this picture. The main one being the gallbladder cancer, which is more risky to treat, and similarly, the pancreatic cancer. So, you can always measure your weight and height, and you can calculate your BMI, and you can see how you are prone to what is the increased risk of cancer. So you can always assess it, and these are the two, apple versus pear. So if that's what so apple shaped body with fat stored around your waist, you have a higher chance of getting cancer, and extra fat stored around your waist puts you at a greater risk. So kindly consider, and we can. So healthy weight habits, actually breakfast is a must, and eat your way to good health and downsize, and think about your drinks. So consume less sugar and eat regular meals, and it is not within days that you will get results. Maybe be patient, and take it one step at a go. So, and physical active lifestyle. So the AIMS guidelines, the latest AIMS guidelines is adults 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity activity per week. Children and adolescents 1 hour of moderate or vigorous intensity activity per day, with vigorous intensity activity at least 3 days per week is a must. So kindly make a note of this. So monitor yourself, and see how well you can be healthy. And this is the physical activity pyramid. So cut down on watching TV, being on computer. So be physically active, so that will improve your immunity, and reduces the risk of getting cancer. Okay, healthy diet. So I would suggest these are the antioxidants, must vitamins that has to be consumed. This is a list, so you can go through it later. And fiber is most important, which reduces which improves the bowel movement and reduces the risk of getting bowel cancer. And red meat, yes, definitely. Anything which you overdo, there is always a risk of cancer, especially red meat overeaten will lead to bowel cancer and stomach cancer. And this is your food pyramid. You can always, the main thing which I would stress is drink plenty of fluids. I won't say it's only water. Anything which is mixed with water in the form of fluids is always better to cleanse your body, and it has more antioxidant properties. So avoid all alcohol. Alcohol is more prone to liver cancer. And so how does this alcohol leads to cancer is, alcohol contains acetaldehyde. On the acetaldehyde, which reacts with DNA of a cell and causes reactive oxygen species. And these reactive oxygen species causes damage to the DNA, and that leads to mutation in a cell. And that mutation over a period of time, long years of consuming alcohol, would lead to cancer. Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yeah, very much audible, sir. Go ahead, sir.
So another probably 15-20 minutes. Is it
Yeah,
fine?
please. Yeah. Go
Then
ahead,
we
sir.
can take up the questions. So avoid too much sun. We are not worried about this. So maximum I would suggest here is at least use sunscreen with minimum SPF of 30. So for when you are on like exposed to sun. And pollutants like asbestos, heavy metals, and arsenic contamination, aflatoxins. So these are responsible for cancer. And vaccination. So as I told you, there are certain viruses which are responsible for cancer. So how do we prevent this virus caused cancers is by just vaccination. So there is something called as human papilloma virus, which is responsible for cervical cancer in females and head and neck cancer in males and females. So I would recommend this vaccination, especially this Gardasil 9, which is responsible for protection against at least 10 varieties of human papillomavirus. So there are 58 variants of human papillomavirus, out of which the cancer-causing viruses are roughly around 10, and infection-causing viruses is 2 to 3. So this Gardasil 9, which is given for girls at an age group of 9 to 26, that is before any sexual activity, and boys ages 9 to 15, prevents the cancer caused by human papilloma virus. So eradication of H. pylori, which is a bacteria which is known to cause gastric cancers and bowel cancers. So we'll have to start off a particular patient if there is any chronic diarrhea. So it is better to start off on antibiotics and proton pump inhibitors. You are the best in, so I don't want to go on the dosing and stuff. And again, hepatitis B vaccine. So it is always better. Hepatitis B virus is responsible for liver malignancies, liver cancers. So better to get vaccination. And even if you have vaccinated, then a booster dose is always required. And this is how it is. And screening, as I told you earlier, the detection screening is nothing but detection of cancer within a normal human being. People will think they'll go just for a health checkup and they'll come. It will come out with a report saying there is carcinoma esophagus, that is food pipe. So how did this happen? So this is good for that particular patient because we have detected at an earlier stage, and there is definitely cure to that particular patient. So what all, we have 5 cancers wherein there is screening guidelines. So in female breast cancer patients, a normal patient who wants to get screened, so it starts from the age of 20 to 39 years age group. So it is always better to do clinical self breast examination at least for every 3 years, and 40 to 49 years we recommend mammogram annually, and more than 49 years annual mammogram is a must. So this is for cervix cancer. So 3 years after, when do we start? We do something called as pap smear, as you all know. So we start 3 years after the initiation of sexual intercourse, but no later than 21 years of age. And women less than 30 years of age, annual screening is recommended. And women more than 30 years, if 3 samples turns out to be negative, then we can always give them a break, and there is no requirement of pap smear. So in men, we do something called as PSA, prostate specific antigen, for prostate cancer screening. So this is how the protocol we follow. And for colorectal malignancies, to prevent it in the age group of 50 to 75 years, usually it is seen over 70 years of age. So we usually recommend colonoscopy, sigmoidoscopy, or a simple fecal occult blood test. So fecal occult blood test is a simple test with which we can always get to know. Excuse me. So, and the next one is oral cancer screening guidelines. So in the oral cancer screening guidelines, it is usually visible. So we check for this 8 spots, which are most common sites for the cancer to develop. So am I clear till now? So these are the preventable and modifiable risk factors. Any questions?
Sir, I have a question. You are talking about HPV vaccine.
HPV, yes sir, human papilloma virus vaccine.
Yeah, when this vaccine has to be given, sir?
For females, anytime before sexual activity, sir. So
no, it is as a precautionary measurement we have to take this vaccine.
It is a precautionary measure, sir. Yes, sir. It is as I told you, human papilloma virus causes cervical cancer in females, and head and neck malignancies in males and females. This can be prevented, sir, with the help of this particular vaccination.
Sir, one more thing. In one slide, you said consuming sugar.
Yes, sir.
But now, anyway, the sugar contain lot of sulfur. This sulfur will affect the kidney, it seems.
Yes, sir.
So, will you advise sugar to consume, or instead of sugar, we can go for brown sugar or jaggery?
Anything which you overdo, sir, I don't tell, don't consume. See, for example, to be simple, as
Yeah.
the literature says, a person who is smoking 20 cigarettes per day, 20 years, will 1% of this population will develop cancer. Okay, sir.
Okay.
So that
Okay.
is how it is. So anything, even in the sugar, so there is no direct literature which says sugar causes cancer. But even the brown sugar doesn't say it prevents cancer. But anything you consume, over-consume brown sugar, you over-consume sugar, both will leads to some or the other side effects, sir. So anything which you are doing it under your control is what I would recommend. It is always better to consume everything at a little quantity, sir.
Understood, sir. Understood.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. So can we proceed? I have 10 more slides.
Yeah,
Yes,
please, sir. Please go ahead.
These are the questions which most of the people who are non-oncologists, who are non-medicos, who are a layman, who are a student will get some or the other time in their life. So I am briefly going through those questions in the form of myths. So do you think cancer is contiguous?
No.
Yes, you can take it up. Okay, so cancer, people think, okay, patient walking into my clinic, they usually ask me, the attenders, sir, can she be with her granddaughter, grandson? Can she be with us in the family? Yes, definitely. Cancer is within one's own body. It doesn't spread from one person to other person. You can share plates, you can be with together. So cancer is not like a flu. It doesn't spread from one person to other person. But there are certain cancer causing viruses which I told you: human papillomavirus, H pylori, and hepatitis B virus. So these are definitely transmittable, and this is responsible for cancer. But directly, a cancer doesn't spread from one person to other person. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Moving ahead. So the next myth is you don't need to worry about cancer if no one in your family has had it. No, definitely 5 to 10. The cancer runs in family only to a tune of 5 to 10%. That's all. The rest of the 90% cancers are preventable cancers. So preventable risk factor associated cancers. So always get screened, avoid the unnecessary overdoing things, and so you can make out changes. So when you have a change in voice in a smoker, so that when there is a chronic cough, so these are the things which will actually lead to cancer over a period of time. Excuse me. Hello. ಏನಪ್ಪ ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಸತಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ. So the majority of cancers are caused by basically the genetic changes, as I told you, the mutation. So that is inculcated within one's own body by that particular person itself. It is not transformed from one, runs in families. So it is only 5 to 10% that are associated with hereditary cancers. So the next myth is if you have a family history of cancer, you will get it too. There is nothing you can do about it. No. So hardly, if there are 10 family members who are being diagnosed with cancer, the 11th member getting cancer is less than 1%. So that is how, less than 5%. This is what the numbers say. So whatever it is for them, the screening period, for example, 10 family members have been diagnosed with cancer. For a non-cancer family, a person, the 11th member going for screening would be at the age of 35 to 40 years. But in a family where there is cancer running within their family, for him, we start screening roughly around 25 to 30 years. So that is how we can detect at an earlier stage. Then hair dyes and antiperspirants can cause cancer? No, absolutely. It's a myth, and it is sometimes easier to remain unaware. So that's what I'm telling you. If you're unaware and you avoid, and if you come up with symptoms, then that is the time we cannot answer your questions, because you will be already in a advanced stage, and that time the curative intent of treatment goes beyond our limits. So that is why we always tell our patients, don't avoid taking treatment. Whatever the side effects, we are always there to manage it. So if you are diagnosed with cancer, you will probably die. No, we are seeing control rate which has been 100% in most of the cancers, apart from GI malignancies. So I would in my experience, the non-treatable cancers are pancreatic and gallbladder cancer. The lifespan itself is 6 to 7 months. Whatever you do best of the job. You take treatment in RELA, you take treatment in US, UK, nothing can be done. That is a vigorous malignancies, but there are certain malignancies which are completely curable. For example, brain cancer, head and neck cancers, which is most common in smokers, then cervical cancers in females, so that is the uterus and the cervix, the womb cancer. So these are the things which are completely curable, and this is where we give confidence to the patient who think that it is not curable, and that is when they get confidence in us and they believe us and they be patient. And it is not a single day treatment, it is a long time treatment. And so that's where we stand. And management of cancer, so cancer is always painful. The technology is improved so much. No, it is not at all painful nowadays. People, we cannot differentiate between a normal person and a cancer patient. That is how the treatment is, and they wouldn't even know what treatment is going on, and that's how the treatment is being planned now. And moving ahead, when we see the technology right now, yes, some people are too old for cancer treatment. Age is not a limit. I do treat 90-year-old patients, 95-year-old patients, and they are still doing well. And you can go through my website, so there they would have given the reviews. Hello? Wait பண்ணுங்க மீட்டிங்ல இருக்கேன். Sorry. So some people are too old. No, never. It is old. So the technology is improved so much. As you know, we have 3 weapons to fight against cancer. 3 to 4 weapons to fight against cancer. So that is surgery, radiation, and chemotherapy. So surgery, earlier we were doing open surgery and laparoscopic surgeries, and so on. But right now, what we are doing is scarless robotic surgeries. For example, if the patient is having a neck node here, so I mean thyroid malignancy, so thyroid cancer. In thyroid cancer, earlier there was a huge ugly scar, okay, so which was used at olden days. But right now we go retroauricular approach with the help of robo. We don't even touch the patient, so the robo will do the work. We will be seeing the structures in a 100 times magnification. For example, if this is the ear, we will see 100 times the magnification at a bigger size, and which will give us clarity of picture where is the tumor located, and we will excise only that part without the scar. So the approach, only one knife mark would be behind the ears, so that is also not visible. So that kind of surgeries we are capable of doing with the help of technology. And when you come to radiation, people think radiation is current. No, it's a misterm. And radiation is nothing but high energy X-rays. We do take X-rays and CT scans, which are low energy. For treatment, cancer treatment, we use higher energy X-rays to kill the cancer cells. And the side effect profile, the precision of treatment is so much that it will focus only on the tumor, and there will be hardly any dose which will be deposited, radiation dose that gets deposited around the critical structures. So only the cancer cells, I mean to say, it is not the tumor. The cells will be targeted. That we call it as pencil beam. And in chemotherapy, people are worried about the hair loss, vomiting, weight loss and all these things. No, we do targeted therapies. It will be targeted. There will be a ligand which will be attached to the cancer cells. So we will be targeting only those ligands, and the damage that is occurring with the help with chemotherapy to the normal cells will be very, very minimized. And we have something called as immunotherapy, improve the body's own immunity. That immunity will fight against cancer. So this is where we stand in the treatment aspects. Yes, you might think that with all these technology, the treatment is very expensive. No, we have come up with this concept of clinics is because to make it affordable. Make it affordable in the sense we give all the top end treatments, and we have all the top oncologists in our team, and it is just to be the freedom to treat our patients with price flexibility. When you see most of the cancer patients goes untreated just because of finances, so we want to bridge that gap, and we do take up all the schemes and with the same technological treatment, and we do take up all the non-affordable patients, affordable patients, non-affordable, make it affordable, and we do treat patients under our foundation. We have a foundation wherein we give all the entire cancer treatment free of cost to children below 5 years, maybe 5 years. And with this, I think I have covered most of the things. Any queries, we can take it up.
Thank you very much, sir, for your brief explanation of the topic. Sir, there are a few questions on the chat box.
Yes.
I'll just read it out.
Yes.
Majid has a question like, how can we identify the early stage of cancer?
Early stage of cancer is, as I told you, there are certain malignancies, at least 5 cancers, wherein there is proven evidence for diagnosis. I mean, proven early diagnosis. For example, cervix cancer. Cervix cancer can always detected from cervix cancer doesn't come like fever. It doesn't come on one day a patient will develop bleeding per vaginum and the next day there is a cancer. No, it doesn't happen like that. It would have been taken roughly around 20 years for the bleeding to happen. Hope you understand my point. So this 20 years when we try not visiting a hospital, avoiding doctors, that is when this grows up and leads into cancer. But when you see the other things, but during this 20 years, when you get this pap smear test or your virus study done, or if you would have got your vaccination done, so that is when we can prevent this cancers. So this detection, this vaccination and pap smear test, PSA in males, colonoscopy in males and females, then breast examination, mammogram, all these things will tell us, will guide us in detecting the cancer at an earlier stage. So that's why in the health checkup, so all these things are done.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. I guess we have a question from Dr. Rohidas. Sir, you can unmute yourself and ask the question, sir.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Varun, for your insightful talk.
Thank you.
Well, there are a lot of economy has been involved in the treatment of cancer and
Yes,
its
sir.
detection as well. Firstly, detection and then treatment. But so there are plenty of therapies available.
Yes, sir.
So like biomarker testing, where we have a stem cell transplant, radiation,
Yes.
chemotherapy, gene therapy, surgery. So what do you think, like, which is the best therapy, best treatment available yet?
Okay. It is not the best, sir. Each and every stage, there is something called as staging in cancer. For example, brain cancer stage 4 will receive a different formulation of treatment like concurrent chemoradiation. So we will be giving radiation of 30 days. Along with that, we'll be giving chemotherapy tablets in the form of temozolomide. So this is the treatment for grade 4, WHO grade 4 malignancy of brain. Whereas when you see the thoracic malignancies, for example, lung. So even if it is stage 4, stage 2 to 4, we will start off only chemotherapy. Stage 4, I mean to say, the lesion will be bigger. So we cannot do surgery or radiation upfront. So what we will do is we will give chemotherapy and shrink the size of the lesion. So this will give us freedom either in dissecting or giving radiation. So that is how we decide upon the treatment, what technology, what technique, each and every. It is a precision treatment, sir. Precision oncology is
Right.
what we are practicing now. Each and every patient is different. We study the patient in depth and we evaluate in depth and we come to a conclusion for the treatment depending upon the affordability and depending upon the stage of the disease.
Thank you very much, sir. I guess Dr.
Thank you.
Ramnath
Thank
KK
you.
has some query. Ramnath, sir, you can just unmute yourself and ask your query, sir.
Hello, good afternoon, sir. So, what is the minimum cost range if you are going with a robotic surgery?
Robotic surgery, that's what, sir, depends upon the site. For example, if you want to get a thyroid cancer done, it can be closed somewhere in the range of 2.5 to 3, sir. If it is a GI malignancy, it will be little expensive. It is mostly used for prostate cancers. So prostate, we can close it for 4 lakhs, sir.
Okay,
And
thank you,
all
sir.
insurances, ESI, CGHS, and everything is covered, sir. We can do robotic surgery free of cost if a ESI patient comes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Magesh, I have a question to sir.
Yes, sir, you can go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Sir, when you're giving radiation therapy, it will not affect the normal cells, sir?
I will come to that, sir. Very
Yeah.
nice question. Being a radiation oncology, I can explain you in depth. And
Yes, sir.
thing is, radiation is, as I told you, it is nothing but high energy X-rays. So it is the normal X-ray, what you go for a chest X-ray or a CT scan. There we use a lower energy. Whereas here for treatment, we will be using high energy X-rays in the range of 6x, 18x, and 6x, 10x, 12x, 18x. Sir. These are the energies which we use, and these energies are selected depending upon the depth of the tissue, tumor tissue that is located. That is one point. And it is a precision treatment. Being a precision treatment, what we do is we will do a dummy of the patient. That means how do we do dummy of that particular patient is, for example, if we are handling head and neck cancer. So we will be taking CT scan from the vertex till the mid chest. So we will have the picture CT scan. We will first of all immobilize, because during X-ray treatment there shouldn't be movement during the treatment. Even a minimal movement, we would have planned to deliver the dose of radiation here. If the patient moves like this, then the radiation goes off here. So to prevent that, what we will do is we will do a mask over the patient, so that will immobilize. So during the treatment, patient cannot move. Then after that immobilization, we will do a CT scan. That is simulation, CT simulation. We will take the CT scan from the range which I mentioned and we will import it into our treatment planning system. So that is where we define to the system and the machine, treating machine, this is where I want radiation. This is a patient with neck node and cancer in the throat. So throat is big, neck opposite side is there, and there are certain critical structures surrounding it like parotid, then there is carotid artery, there is ears, eyes. We will tell the computer, we will locate the tumor with the help of the CT scan, and we will tell the computer to deposit the dose only to this tumor site and avoid the critical structures surrounding it. Then we will get a plan. So wherever the radiation being deposited on that particular CT scan, that will be red. The other structures will be the whatever black and white color on the CT scan. So our intention is to deposit only the dose to the tumor and avoid the critical structures. This is where the technology lies. So we have different techniques to do this. We do something called as IMRT, IGRT, SRS, SBRT, and these are the technology which we have. And if I talk about that, then it will become pure radiation oncology topic, and it will be like partial knowledge. So what we can do is we can have another session on techniques in radiation and different modalities of treatment for cancer. So this is how we do it, sir. How do we avoid? We tell the system, and the machine is tuned in such a way that it deposits dose only to the tumor. So that means the tumor is divided into several thousands and lakhs of segments. So each segment will receive different doses, sir. That we call it as simultaneous integrated boost. So the tumor which is located within the center of that lump will receive the highest dose. That is our intention. So these cells which are located where there is rapid repopulation occurring, that we will target with very high dose, whereas the surrounding tumor around that rapid repopulating cells will receive lesser dose compared to that center, and surrounding that there are critical structures that will receive zero dose. So that's why we tell, depending upon the expenditure, you will get the side effect profiles can be reduced.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, I have one more question.
Yes.
Like, as you told, like most of the cancers in the earlier stages are treatable or like curable.
Yes.
So I have the question of mine is like, what is the percentage of reoccurrence of the cancer if in case it reoccurs, and what?
Percentage of reoccurrence, again, very good question, depends upon the stage. For example, stage 1 cancer is completely curable, and for them to recur, they'll take at least 10 to 20 years to come back if properly treated at the first setting. First setting is the best treatment which you can deliver for a cancer patient. You know that cancer is going to come back, even if it is stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, irrespective of the stage. You know, for example, stage 1, it might recur after 20 years. Stage 2 will recur after 10 years. Stage 3 will recur after 5 years. Stage 4 will recur after 2 years. This is what the timeline is for curable cancers. Whereas pancreatic cancer and liver cancer, if you take, whatever you do, you can only control, you cannot cure. So the cancer burden will be there within the body, but the medicines will pump the immunity, and that is where the immunotherapy works.
So, sir, can you please give us some tips, like for those people who have been treated with cancer, what are the things to avoid the reoccurrence or like to control the reoccurrence?
Again, regular checkups. So for a patient who is being treated, we would call them, first year we call them every 3 months, second year we call them every 6 months, then from third year onwards, annually once you will have to come to hospital and get checkup done. And in between, if you have any problem, you can always call us. We are there, and we can always get the required investigations, and we can do right things at the right time. But whatever said and done, first treatment should be the best treatment. We cannot handle recurrent cases, and you know the expenditure again. So we have fought with 3 weapons. The 4th weapon is immunotherapy. Immunotherapy is quite expensive.
Yeah, nicely said. Thank you very much, sir. If there are any other
Mahesh, can I have one question?
yes, sir, you can go ahead, please.
Yes, Dr. Varun, I just want to comment on this blood cancer. So in terms of this low count of the platelet from the bone marrow, so my concern is like if it is at the stage 1 or probably stage 2, so how can we induce or this particular bone marrow to produce a regular or kind of a normal range of the platelets?
Yes, sir. So the thing is, we don't have stage 1 or 2 in blood cancer. So we do something called as high risk, low risk, intermediate risk, sir.
Okay.
So in low risk patients, what we do, we give chemotherapy, and that's it. The treatment will be off. So we are trying to kill those cancer cells, which are mutated cells, with the help of chemotherapy, and that will act upon those cells, and it will wash out, sir.
But by that way, will the bone marrow restore its
Yes, sir, I'm
capacity?
coming to that point.
Okay.
In intermediate risk and high risk, what we do is we give very high dose dense chemotherapy, sir. And
Okay.
we give full body radiation, that we call it as total body irradiation.
Okay.
After this, what we do is we give exogenous colony stimulating factors. That means after high dose chemotherapy, high dose radiation, the entire body cells, the cancer cells which were there, the normal cells, everything will die, sir. The bone marrow completely gets suppressed. Then we will boost the bone marrow with the help of exogenous colony stimulating factor.
Factors.
That is granulocyte colony stimulating factor, GCSF. We
Okay.
give very high dose for 5 days. Then we harvest the cells from the body of that particular patient, which is generated by the exogenous colony stimulating factor, and that harvested cells will be reinfused.
Okay, ex vivo
That
therapy.
will help in repopulating the normal cells, sir.
Okay.
This is how we treat blood cancers. Today, blood cancer is the best cancer to have because it is easily curable.
Okay, but so some hemato-oncologist for one of my good family member recommended to have a bone marrow transplant. So I was
Yes,
just
that
wondering.
is what is transplant, sir. Bone
Okay.
marrow transplant doesn't mean you take bone and keep it
Absolutely.
in some other patient. Bone
Yes, sir.
marrow means, I told you, right? High dose chemotherapy, total body radiation. Then
Understand.
we do GCSF transfusion. Then harvest the normal cells from the body, reinfuse that cells. That's all is BMT, sir.
Ex vivo
Bone marrow
therapy. Okay.
This is what is transplant. A transplant doesn't mean like liver transplant, wherein you
Understand,
remove
yeah.
liver, part of liver and transplant. No, we are transplanting only the cells.
Understand.
It is only to do with blood. That's all, sir.
So the BFM protocol.
Yes,
the-
sir.
the- that is
BFM
what.
90.
Yeah,
Yes,
BFM 90 was going on
for
for at least.
leukemia patients.
Exactly. So
Yes, sir.
3 or 4 sets will be given actually, but somehow it is still if you do the CBC,
Where is the patient, sir?
patient is in Mumbai
Mumbai. Okay. Where are they taking treatment?
with Dr. Suresh Advani, the hemato-oncologist. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's going on there actually, but it's been 2.5 years. So
Okay,
Just
so we
wondered
have
actually.
something called as Sankalp in Bhagwan Mahavir Jain Hospital, sir. So
Okay.
we are a team of doctors who are working on BMT. So we do it at a subsidized price, sir. The best treatment at a subsidized price. So if you have any non-affordable patients, affordable patients, you can always recommend. We are a team of hematologists, hemato-oncologists who are working on this project. We recently signed the contracts.
wonderful.
Probably we are 6 months old.
Very good. Very
Bhagwan
novel.
Mahavir Jain Hospital, Vasant Nagar.
Oh, okay. Very good. Thank you. Thank you for your insightful talk. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. So if there are any other questions from the audience? Okay, I don't think so. Any more questions are there? I heartfully thank Dr. Varun sir for accepting our invitation upon his very busy schedule to deliver a talk on preventing cancer upon changing lifestyle and answering all the questions with lot of patience. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good
I
day.
also thank the management of the Anand Sagar University.
Incoming voice call from
I thank the management of the Anand Sagar University for arranging such a platform to conduct regular webinars. And we also thank our Vice Chancellor, Dr. K.N.B. Murthy, Dean of School of Applied Health Sciences, Dr. Pushpa Sarkar, and our Principal, Dr. V. Murugan, for their intense support to carry out such webinars and what I can say, like spread the knowledge about this particular topic. Thank you very much, sir. So
Thank
we
you,
are
sir.
winding up, and we intend to have more contact sessions with you with more depth into this type of topics, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. So we are winding up with the meeting. Thank you very much.